one-sided game of the tournament. So this could be a difficult one, as Albus is looking to get priority here with the Thresh pickup. As you can see, the bans have completed. Kalista once again banned on that blue side, and the Zac as well. And Caitlyn, Galio, Elise is going to round it out for Edward Gaming.
So now it's the question of what does Mako feel comfortable taking to the Thresh? There's still a high priority supports like the Rakans, like the standard
I want the
Broms.
Annie Frosker, that's what I want.
I was actually thinking, now this sounds interesting, the Zyra. Now Zyra is very fragile. I'm going to call it almost like a skill-based matchup.
You never have to sell me on Zyra.
It's hard to play Thresh into Zyra just because she can block out a lot of the plants, but if she ever does catch you, you're pretty much absolutely dead.
Well, this would be exciting if the Katarina was being considered. Gragas and the Varus to be locked in here for EDG. Clearlove looking like he will be picking up that Gragas for the jungle, and definitely an old comfort pick for him.
And what it does dissuade is it also moves Mountain away from the likes of the Rek'Sai. You know, you can see him already trying to solidify towards the Lee Sin. We know that in the LPL they like to take Gragas into Rek'Sai because it interrupts some of her interactions that she wants to prepare in team fights.
Yeah, certainly, of course. Once you're looking towards AHQ, they've got their Thresh. They can pick any AD in the world, so they don't need to rotate it this early. Of course, there is the exposure with the Varus locked, Kalista, Caitlyn ban, that the second ban phase would be risky for them. And if they do lock in their mid laner here, which again expected is Taliyah versus Corki, because that just seems to be the matchup, it does leave that as a potential ban list.
I think it's very interesting, though, that they're prioritizing the Taliyah over the Corki. For me, we talked about this over the course of the tournament. I feel like he's almost must-ban, must-pick. He just spikes on every single item. He has the ability to be a playmaker in both those side lanes, and then is hyper-scaling, whereas Taliyah is more of that utility late game.
Well, also, Westor's now going to be trying his hand on the Taliyah when it was Chowie picking it up in their first game. Not quite able to find success, but it was difficult opposition for AHQ their first outing. And okay, Scout is just going to opt in for the counter matchup. Well, somewhat counter matchup. Of course, Taliyah has been picked into Corki, but it's not necessarily I'm going to win. It's just we can both clear minion waves. Renekton going to be banned and Fiora banned as well, understandably against Audi.
And you'd expect to see that the Ashe would also be penched here since Varus is already there. You don't want to just give on one of his comfort champions. I try to force him a little bit more outside the meta, but you still have things like the Kalista also available.
Well, no, you don't. It was banned
JK.
second off, and I think the Jinx ban is probably going to come in second time around. No, it's going to be the Jax.
Nope, they're actually hard focusing that top lane. And the question for me here is, what can Audi play? You've got your Renekton, Jax,
not Camille.
Fiora, Camille, all banned away. Does he default to a Kled, which like you're better off just having Mouse in that case, right? Is it just the J4 because it's this nice middle ground between carry and tankiness? Because I feel like those champions are the only direction that he can go now.
And Ziv, of course, has the opportunity of heading towards something like the Gnar that we've been talking about a lot. Haven't seen it yet in this best of 5 series. Could be an opportunity. Ziv, of course, playing it in the past. Powerhouse top laner for a very long time, but Kled is another one that is still available.
Yep.
Saw it in the last game. Didn't necessarily find success for OMG, but they're going to try his hand at it.
And already both compositions have so many different layers of kind of CC and how they want to set up team fights in these 5v5s, manipulating terrain like the Taliyah wall, being able to run people down with the Kled charge, or isolating targets with Varus ultimate with Gragas ult. So there's so many options for both AHQ and EDG.
And of course, now it's going to be not about that split push necessarily. Both Jarvan and Kled, you know, Kled fantastic initiation with the charge, as well as Jarvan being able to annoy people with that big cataclysm. So we are going to be seeing more 5v5 focus, not necessarily these Fioras or Jaxes.
And I will say, I'm a bit surprised to see On go towards the Xayah. I know that she's been coming back as kind of the big pick for this tournament, but I just feel like there's so many different tools and threats on the side of EDG for a mid-range AD carry, the Gragas cast in particular.
Yeah, one step further as well, though. Mako with the last pick, picking support last as well.
And not going
They
Braum.
don't go Braum. They go for the Tahm Kench, which is a pick away from the Thresh to deny the Thresh pick. At the same time, if you went Braum, you'd be denying Xayah. So there was a very clear focus here from the side of EDG as to what they'd like to best.
And what it does open up for them is it allows them to play kind of those side lanes. Again, if you have Corki who's flying out using his mobility on the package, now you can follow that up with the Abyssal Voyage. We always say that EDG are strongest when they unlock Mako, get him around the map, and that could have been one of the deciding factors. Braum, yeah, you'd get a bit more security denying Xayah in the lane, but Tahm Kench, after level 6, allows you to impact more of the map.
Well, of course, we'll see whether he's going to be able to get anything done as we hop onto the Rift. But Tahm Kench has seen a lot of priority, maybe not as much success as we have seen him in other regions. But the Thresh coming out of Albus scares me because LMS with Thresh is such a frightening prospect this tournament, because setting up picks in the mid-game is just what this region is all about.
And we've already seen, how important this matchup is. If AHQ win this, it keeps the LMS alive towards Game 5. So you have to think, looking past this, it's RNG versus Machi. You would say that unless Machi find another miracle, that should go to the LPL. So this is probably the most important matchup of this entire best of 5.
Certainly is.
Yeah, but Scout does have that Corki. Massive power pick there in the mid lane. He sat behind Pawn for so long. We know Pawn is the ultimate god of the old Corki. Seen it banned away from him in this tournament as well. I say ultimate god, it's Pawn. This guy plays all sorts of crazy, but he's the melee Corki master, and I'd like to see some aggression out of Scout to take over the lane.
Melee Corki master. I mean, unfortunately for Scout,
he plays melee Corki.
One of a kind. Sit in the shadow of Faker and then Pawn. I feel like the LPL
probably should be talking about Faker first.
Maybe. I'll leave that to you.
Hey, look, a lot of players have sat in the shadow of Faker, and some of them have not necessarily got the success that Scout has. Alluding to the old Easy Hoon. Unfortunate. We are under Summoner's Rift here. Zet is just pacing up and down the river. No funny business to start things off. No blitzcranks in this particular game. We'll see who's going to be able to make the good first move.
Not to be seen, of course. You'd still start with this jungle position if you're looking at Mountain. What can he get done? Which lane does he want to get the ganks off? Thresh is a very easy lane for him to gank if he would like. Zaya as well, very nice compounding duo if EDG's coming at them. And the reason that I bring this up as well is you get the vision. You almost want Clearlove to come to the 2v2 so that you can counter it.
And that's an easy assumption to make. You're against EDG, like Papa was staying on the desk. Edward Gaming really haven't changed their dynamic that much. It's still about the bottom lane. It doesn't matter that it's not Def there, that it's Zet trying to fill in those shoes. And over the course of this tournament, we saw the very early Cheese Evelyn gank. I almost expect to see the same thing on the Gragas, but we'll keep our eyes on these jungle starts.
Weirdly enough, though, Clearlove, now that he's added the 7 to his name, has diversified at least here and there and has actually looked towards the top lane, but only really when Mouse is playing. When Outy's here, he almost has to go top just because of the state of the laning in a 1v1 type of scenario. Not going for it.
Is it going to be different now that it's a Jarvan towards the top side of the map, though? Because Outy's not necessarily on these scaling champions. His early game should be a little bit more short up.
Easy to gank for still if you're looking at the Jarvan.
Absolutely.
So in terms of that respect, it's possible, but really, I mean, it just comes down to Clearlove's preference, and bottom's always the place you'd look.
But I do want to quickly talk about the jungle start. So we saw that both Albus and On sacrificed their ability to get into the lane, put themselves on the right foot, because they gave a hard leash to Mountain. Now, I actually value this start more over than what Clearlove did, just because I feel like it gives you that small tempo advantage in the jungle, which has been so game-changing that we've seen when it comes to eking out level 6 early, or just being a little bit faster on rotation for an early gank.
Heading towards this blue buff. Now Mountain's going to finish it in a much faster clip than that of Clearlove. Possibly looking towards the top side after that, but you can see the lane is very neutral at the moment. Outy not doing too badly as they get to that level 2 mark.
And junglers may actually meet each other here in the middle. We've got Clearlove going over towards his Raptors. He's actually quite behind in experience and farm, only 2 CS, as he's gone buff to buff to protect those major objectives.
But this vision that Mountain's going to place down here on the Raptor camp is what a hard leash like his bottom lane gives him in return. So he gets the vision on the Raptor camp. He might go to look for the Krugs. Actually, he's just going to hide and look to find the jump on Clearlove.
Clearlove's heading into this brush here, so is going to easily steal those Krugs away as Mako spits out Zet and tries to get some auto attacks into Albus here towards the bottom side of the map.
Small detail, but what's important is that Zet pops himself out of the mouth sideways, so there's no double flays, which is really nice of Albus to be stepping up aggressively after the hook connects. Just small intricacies in that little trade.
Yeah, good to know that Albus is still fantastic on the Thresh. Clearlove pops over and wonders where his Krugs went. There's one making his way back home, but that is not what he wants.
And you can see why there's no help going to come to him. Ziv has the push on Outy. He's stuck under the turret, and Scout, he's in an equal 1v1. Now has to show some respect, perhaps.
Yeah, looking like a 1v2 at the moment, but Mountain's passing through. There it is.
And this is a defining feature of Scout, just the pathing right there. He knows that the flick's going to come from behind. He himself, a very accomplished Taliyah player, and he's taken after, the fathers before him, the pawns and the fakers. He'll step forward. He's never going to back down from a trade.
Good to see. No seismic shove's going to be hitting Scout. We'll see whether Westall decides to play melee seismic shove Taliyah and just puts the seismic shove
the zoning
close
seismic
to him.
shove?
Yeah, it's like, you can't walk forward now. What are you going to do? Probably walk back, I would say, but Westall, of course, well and truly out of mana at this stage, throwing pebbles around the mid lane.
And you've highlighted the level 6 spikes that can come out of these teams earlier, Frostgren, but ultimately I'd still be looking towards EDG as having the better spike through their bottom lane. Not just for Mako being able to roam, but for the Varus having engage. Because then the follow-up, when you've got a Jarvan who can teleport, Clearlove to be nearby, usually it'll coincide with Scout having a package at that time of the game. It's a really good opportunity for them to actually look at expanding the map, growing a lead from nothing, because they've got a Mountain Drake up.
Which is why they need to secure this pathway here. We call this the Silk Road in the LPL. It's about making sure that you have vision control over the Raptor camp and opening up this pathway behind the Dragon Pit so you can get the Corki and the Gragas down there.
Speaking of the Corki, Scout's actually taking a lot of damage here against Westor, who's been able to hold his mana bar at extraordinarily low for most of this lane phase and still get the damage down to Scout that he needs to.
It's because he's harassing Scout explicitly, so he'll keep up the mana from the last hitting with the Doran's Ring, but at the same time, if you're using your E and your Q, you'd run out of mana very quickly through these trades, where Corki can auto-attack to best you.
Well, he is not necessarily going to find it just here. 43 CS for the Corki, though, as he heads back home, and Westor has missed quite a few there in the mid lane.
The classic run at you, try to cancel the back.
Yep.
Times it with a cannon wave too, so Scout will be a happy camper.
I see why Westor always falls behind in CS.
Wanders at people instead of actually last hitting.
It's about sending a message.
Yes, I like it. Message received. Arn gonna get hit by a few abilities and some auto attacks there from Zet, but should be okay here in this lane with the support of Albus. This lane is very close.
It's more like power walking. Have you ever been aggressively power walked at, Atlas?
I've aggressively power walked myself. I like to think that I'm a very good speed walker. I've demonstrated it before.
Can confirm. Have seen your
Oh
runners.
yeah. Oh, it's good. Oh, it's good. It's something that you can't really describe very well on broadcast.
I'm sure
so
everyone gets a great mental image.
I've watched
have
the
you seen
Olympics,
like
I
the
know
Olympic
how it
walking?
works.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
Rather
looks
scary
like.
to think
it's
about.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Now just think of me doing it, Rusty. Get in there. Okay, Zed is going to keep killing minions. The bottom lane has equalized. You can see Scout makes his way back in with a Sheen, as Westor's taking a lot of damage. Rocket's coming in now from Scout, but he has that level 6.
And that's twice that these trades have actually happened for Westor, pushing up aggressively to use the shove, where Scout just stands and delivers. And so the third time might be the charm here for the Tele. Actually keep your eye out for that, if he adapts on the fly. And then we'll start winning these trades. At the very least, he is controlling the minion waves and trying to prevent Scout from getting anywhere. In 1 minute, though, there is a package.
There's a lot of vision available here for AHQ in EDG's jungle.
Yeah, Mountain's trying to abuse Clearlove's back. I do want to point out that Clearlove made a very clever back, so for those of you in solo queue, backing just out of vision of the Krug camp.
Well, Ziv is actually going to win the trade towards the top side, as the Jarvan was wanting to come over and stop this red steal, but it's just not going to happen. Albus available if Mountain wants to get that safeguard, but he wants to stay aggressively at position.
He may actually look for a dive top lane because he's got the Thresh here. It is far more realistic, and they're going.
Yep, charge is going to come in. There's the flash kick as Ziv is going to knock him up into the air there as well. Out he tries to get back. Good Cataclysm as Ziv's taking a lot of damage, but he'll be untargetable. That's going to get the reset on the aggro, and AHQ look great towards the top side.
And it's just too easy there. I want to give a special shout out to the back timers of Albus in particular, making sure that he synced up with Mountain and adding the extra security of having Thresh in the back pocket for that dive.
Massive damage will obviously come down onto this structure. They've hard committed to taking it. Again, Audi is about to respawn, but he doesn't have the teleport. And so this gank to the top lane is massive for opening up all of Summoner's Rift for themselves. EDG on the flip side can barely actually get a trade out. Could look towards the Mountain Drake, but even then it just takes so long to do. I don't know if that's realistic to consider.
On needs to be very careful approaching this tower. He does have Feathered Storm, Dance?
Feather Storm?
Feathers.
Storm. He's got the feathers.
Lots of them.
He can dodge the CCs.
He can, but he can't dodge losing first brick towards the top side of the map, as Ziv is going to easily cut that one down.
Wow, and EDG just kind of passively watch AHQ take control of the game.
And scarily, I just don't think there was a trade immediately available for them. And if they did look towards a trade, it would be a hard force. And that's super risky, especially with just how clean it was from AHQ on the top side of the map. Albus, no one expected him to be there with boots of mobility that early.
While I agree with that, I feel like because it is a higher priority dragon like a mountain versus an ocean or a cloud, that it's almost kind of risk versus reward of trying to make a hard force bottom. You knew that the jungler was top lane, just have Audi respawn, walk bottom, and at least force them off the tower, take the chip damage, and rotate into a higher party dragon, rather than just passively watching the game walk away from you.
To be fair, they've set up vision around the mountain. They haven't done it. And they definitely did not speed walk away from the Gave Atlas. That is just a weird image.
I needed to trigger you once again, Rusty. I'm sorry about that.
It's my favorite thing to do is trigger Rusty.
It means they will still look towards the mountain drake. Muppets.
Can I be animal?
I've just missed this so much. Okay, well, the Mountain Drake is well and truly still there, but thankfully for AHQ, they managed to get Rift Scuttle vision. There is so much vision on the bottom side here for EDG, though, so if it doesn't happen for Oscar, and like you say it will, EDG are going to lose so much because they invested vision towards the bottom side, which is largely being cleared out now for AHQ. And if EDG don't move down there and get it, they've invested so much and got nothing.
Yeah, and it's about to get worse here. Hold on.
Oh, Valkyrie.
Here comes the charge.
Oh my goodness. Good exhaust from Scout as Audi is here. Clearlove making his way through the side as well, but is Scout even going to last? He uses the flashes there. The flash body slam. Westor, beautiful flash to get himself out of the way as Ziv now has been dismounted. They are going to move him out of the way. The Talia does pick up Audi, but Ziv is going to die. He knew it as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
Top laners just decided to go so hard on killing somebody and not protecting their own teammates. Kled just overcommits, and Audi does not even use his flag and drag to save his Corki's life. Just goes forwards and dies for it.
But I love how you can tell who the new guy is because they just left Audi to die. They're like, nope, get back to Scout. This guy's been here longer.
Well, of course, Scout can now clear out the minion wave, which would have been more difficult for Audi, so I do like the decision.
I just can't comprehend this decision from Audi. Save your Scout. Like, watch him. He has it all available. It's still available. No, yeah, absolutely. The Scout just tries to, like, really confused with that. I mean, it's just a trade.
I feel like Clearlove
best
is
replay
the
analysis I've heard.
Clearlove is like the dog in a divorce, and you've got Scout the mom on one side, and you've Audi the dad on the other side. It's like, come here, boy, come here. Who are you gonna pick? I don't know, guys.
That's my favorite analogy. Ah. Brilliant. It's just a moment of favorites.
But what I was going to say is, okay, so tempo advantage still to EDG. The reason why Zet and Mako have been rotated up into this top lane is because they don't want to lose priority over the Rift Herald, which naturally has just spawned. You could already see before that play took over, AHQ were starting to eke their vision into the area, because by dropping that tower early, this is what this gives them primary control over. So there's a window where EDG can make the choice of, yeah, we'll give them Rift Herald and we'll trade Mountain Dragon, but naturally Rift Herald is the more important objective.
Especially right now, as it has just spawned. And AHQ yet to get sole vision of the area. Their topside vision is actually quite good, though, not wanting to get dove underneath that turret. Understanding that EDG had moved that bottom lane up there was an opportunity for multiple members to be in.
Yeah, of course, they've still got opportunities to be on the bottom side of the map here, EDG. You can already see them moving towards the objective. You have to challenge Wire AHQ on the top side of the map. When the turret's already gone, they have no objective to secure, and EDG runs straight in.
Yep, Clearlove is looking for the kill here as well as Scout Valkyrie's over. Doesn't have any ability to get out of anything as Skull is going to be dismounted. Kled is going to just shoot his way out of there.
Running
EDG, can they go to the dragon now, though?
But they're running out of time on trying to make a play here. You can see that On is propping the wave up into the top lane. But again, it's not about that tower. It's about the Rift Herald. It's opening up the potential for AHQ to make a trade if EDG do commit to Mountain.
Well, Audi is going to head towards that top lane and take down the creep wave crashing into the inner turret. Arn is looking to steal away this red buff. Skillov hasn't got many of his own ones. Did manage to steal the last one from AHQ, though.
But the damage has been done. They chipped out a lot of the health bars. They're forcing Scout to back. AHQ had their pick of the litter about what they want to set up. Do we set up vision for the Mountain Dragon? Do we take the Rift Herald? Maybe we get some chip damage on mid lane. Looks like it's going to be Herald.
Yeah, you can feel the momentum. It's not even a large gold lead, not even really 2,000. But how they are influencing the map right now just feels that little bit superior. Scout going in, going forward to try and de-skull Ziv was overly aggressive, and you can see how that small detail then comes back to hurt him. And the question there is, why is he going so far forwards when he could just be poking with his rockets? And a lot of that is they're hard forcing for the Mountain to try and prevent a trade perhaps for the Herald, but it's an overreach.
Well, now it is going to be Rift Herald traded for outer and bottom side of the map as far as turrets, and most likely this Mountain Drake as well. So EDG trading up in the situation. Yep. Do like that. Salvis is looking to come around and deny that particular advantage, but Zet is going to make it a battle that he can't really win.
Mountain Drake just decides while he's inside the pit that he no longer wants to battle and just resets himself.
Just wanders around for a little
bit. You're correct. They actually come up ahead.
This is what talking about speedwalking does. Even the dragon wants to do it.
The amount of gross noises that are coming out of like Gragas and Kench when they're next to each other, though, it's just not my favorite sound effect to be plugged into there.
Oh, well, Audi, this is not his favorite moment either, as he's not.
He seems to like it.
Okay, yeah, he's just going to jump himself.
He's got a Tom Kench with no ultimate walking up towards him.
I'ma lick him.
Yeah, he's walking the dog now. As the knockup is going to come in. There's the flash ult, and the root does actually land. He's going to be dismounted, and Ziv is in trouble. There's a Blade of the Ruin King in there, and Zet is going to be able to pick up his
But they've just summoned the Rift Herald in the mid lane. So whilst they go for this kill, they put a lot of effort into securing it. Scout's now stuck against a Herald and 3 members threatening the hooks on him. Super lucky that they don't overcommit here, AHQ. They may have been able to just pick it up.
Yeah, it didn't spot Clearlove over the side, so not having vision of a possible flank because Mako had also disappeared in the Fog of War. AHQ just plays very conservatively, take the damage and walk away.
Almost the Korean way out in that case, if you were to look at it as an example. But the thing that they weren't mapping was the cooldown of Mako's ultimate, of course. Not just Clearlove being invisible, but suddenly there's still 4 people nearby. He didn't have it, but they assumed he did. So they pay their respects, and they do walk away.
Okay, it does mean that EDG are going to trade up in that instance as well, able to get that kill and not lose too much apart from health on the outer turret in the mid lane. And this outer turret on the top side of the map, after that wave has been pushed back, is looking good.
Not just that, of course, the bottom side's got big item spikes and a package there for the Corki, so they're looking to maybe prevent the trade. EDG are trying to make a risk now and one-up their opponents.
We'll see whether they can actually defend this. As you can see, actually, we've got Westor moving away. He's just going to shove towards that outer turret in the mid lane. Should be able to get this after the Rift Herald did do some work.
Abyssal Voyage is actually live now, so Westor, again, he's playing conservatively. He doesn't see where the Kench is, moves to the bottom side.
Okay, but Audi, he has no way of defending this outer turret, so nicely done. But look, EDG is still top side, trying to pressure towards that inner turret, or at least deny some sort of freeze, something like that.
Yeah, in these elongated tower trades, I agree with you. It was EDG actually kind of getting the better of a situation simply because AHQ didn't have the vision to make a confident play and really commit with how many resources they had spread over the map. You know, if they could see where Kench was, maybe Westor would step up, contest that mid tower.
Okay, Scout has to use his Valkyrie to get out of the way. Thankfully, it's just enough to avoid the threaded volley.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Westor hard commits to that trade, trying to bully him and push him away from the turret. It feels like they're just matching the health trade, and that's still an advantage for AHQ. Ghost was used, though, as well. They're trying to push Scout away as he is the wave clear. It's like when you're versing the Victor. If you can chunk him, prevent him from clearing the wave, then you have a higher chance of actually taking it.
Yeah, thankfully Clearlove is going to turn up there as well, and at this particular point in the game, that Runic Echoes is going to help those barrels clear up minion waves as well. And Scout goes back, and that's a frustrating fight. Just don't like a Brawler's Club. Feels bad. But does have a control ward, so we're feeling better about that one.
The first control ward that an LPL team has ever purchased.
I think that might be an exaggeration.
I don't know. Did you see the games yesterday?
Oh,
OMG didn't.
No one look at the minimap.
Yeah. Oh, wait, is that because there's a control ward? EDG had learnt even prior to us noticing. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, Zet is going to set himself up. Piercing arrows there, not necessarily clearing out waves like they used to when the builder changed, but out goes Audi. Good
that feels
knock
bad.
up. Yep. Okay, Mountain not going to have his flash anymore, and that is depressing. However,
Almost
you know,
feels like the WE game where Mountain just suddenly appears in the side wave, and look at the time that you get on mid lane instead during this.
Okay, Scout's going to get himself out. They are going to defend this turret. Nicely done. Yeah, I don't know whether it's quite the same as the prior game, because the Lee Sin this time feels slightly better.
Are you a J call or are you a Karsa, Lee Sin?
Well, that's
Fan?
the WE.
Oh, yes, that's true. Sorry, yeah, you did. I was talking about the Lee Sin prior. Not great. He didn't have his best performance thus far.
He's still new. Gotta get those sea legs going.
Mm-hmm. Need to shake the sillies out, potentially. Oh, okay, that was very, very close from Albus.
But they pick it up, and that's super important. The mid lane outer means they can stretch their vision just a little bit deeper into AHQ's side of the map. It's really hard as an Aussie to say that letter H.
H, 2K?
H. It's just an H, mate. Just doesn't have a "huh" sound, even
it
if it does make a "huh" noise.
But we had another situation where you could see that Ziv was kind of sitting down in the bottom river on AHQ vision, looking for the possible flank. But again, you know, the Talia wall wasn't available. They didn't feel like they had all of their ducks in a row, so they just conservatively let the play pass them by.
There's a lot of pings going down
They're
right
very
now.
on the way.
Yeah, in goes Mako and Zet. Unfortunately, there's a seismic shove that works out very well for Westor as Cluelove just body slams his way into the gullet of Mako and will be absolutely fine. But Arn, he's actually looking to go
Claire's
aggressive.
ulted as
In
well.
goes the charge. As now Scout, he's there to back them up. 4 versus 5 is what it's looking like as the teleport is going to come in. This is going to be the full-on team fight as that AoE damage is massive out of EDG. Ziv gets himself over the wall and Mako just being a body in front of this fight and no one is going to be taken down. That was close, but looked good for both teams.
And that is such a dangerous fight because we are 25 seconds out from a Baron spawning, so both teams smartly figure out that, okay, this is not the time to throw the game and disengage.
And the scary thing there is EDG didn't even have their top laner and people were starting to get chunks super low. Corky's got his power spikes from that Trinity Force. He's hit his level 11, so the breakpoints are there. Zet is doing damage, and Mako's tank enough to be able to sustain through a fair chunk of what was thrown at them, and that's where EDG can almost get themselves that team fight, but they don't. They're still looking towards the Mountain Drake as the primary focus.
I think it's kind of interesting that they've decided to choose these lane assignments. With Baron spawning, yes, the Mountain will be going live on its timer soon, but you'd think that it would be Corky bottom and Jarvan top lane.
Not necessarily how it's being set up at the moment. With the
think
Mountain Drake there, maybe that's going to be the priority.
I think they figured it out.
We made an oopsie.
There he goes.
This
Actually,
isn't a teleport call.
I have expectations of a lot of them just showing up at the Mountain Drake. They'll take the 5v5 for this, I believe, with their item spikes and the timing in the game for EDG. AHQ, they can either force the Baron, they can go to the other side of the map and trade. Right now they're forcing mid, but fighting a package Corky, you might just be waiting it out.
Yeah, and he does have his BF sword just completed now as well, looking for his Infinity Edge. We'll see whether he turns that Brawler's Glove into a Zeal. Zeal? Why? How the heck did I forget
I don't know
the name
where you're going.
of a Zeal? That's ridiculous. Seems like Scout doesn't quite know where he's going either, as Weaver's Wall is going to block EDG off from this Mountain Drake.
But they could still hit it.
Yeah. Okay, Mountain's going to get his way in. This should be able to steal that one away, and it is going to be Mountain grabbing it, but has he sacrificed himself?
He certainly has.
Is it worth it? The package comes down for Scout and has closed the gap onto Ziv. In goes Mako, just wanting to get this fight as Albus might be the sacrificial lamb. He's so hungry as this catfish and gobbles up the Thresh. That is going to be the second kill of the fight. Flashes coming out everywhere. A party cask from Clearlove to celebrate the 2-for-0 trade.
And do not be fooled. It was by no accident that Clearlove didn't try to contest Smite that. He went for the jungle kill. He still has Smite. Their jungler is dead, and they're moving towards Baron.
Yep, that classic 21-minute LPL Baron. As soon as this purple worm spawns, it is under threat. As Westor is going to set himself up. Doesn't have the Weaver's Wall or anything like that to block
Really
in
risky
EDG.
from Westor here.
Okay, he's gone very deep. As the Pebbles are down, Scout takes a lot of damage. That is going to mean that the Baron goes over to EDG. Slam dunk, as it's going to be the Varus that picks up the kill on the Talia. And AHQ get one back, but there's still 4 Barons.
And Westor surprisingly did a lot of work there because the Baron just got a 4-man stun onto the side. They're all sitting behind the pit. Of course, we get to see the Drake fight again. And he kind of looks towards it as the belly bop smite. You can't really beat the Lee Sin in that relative trade unless you body slam to interrupt it, but he was a little bit too late. So yes, they kill Mountain, they immediately go forwards, and a lot of this is actually still on Mako. The awareness to ult into cover distance needs to be behind them, or they won't get a pick. Their crowd control barely exists in that situation was very clever.
Yep. And the Hungry Time Cancel looks so adorable as well. So that was a joy. Albus not necessarily as excited.
I always love what you bring to a cast, Atlas. Just go the extra mile.
Why? It was adorable. Don't you be facetious at me, Frosker.
I would never.
She says facetiously. Okay, Scout moving down towards the bottom side of the map, wanting to influence with his Baron buff himself.
With a lot of items coming out of him. Is closer to a mixed bucket, hasn't committed to his second item.
Did
but
pick up the Zeal, if I remember.
He does definitely have the Sheen Zeal.
The shield. That's a shield.
And still with the Baron buff to be there as well. Thank you. He just keeps going.
Just silently under his breath, shield. Muppet. Power walk.
Whoa, we didn't need to go back there. I definitely adventured back towards the power walk a little bit too much.
Thanks,
But yes,
Rusty.
Inotaran is going to fall. Brilliant. They are going to move now towards the mid lane that Audi has prepared for them.
And I think the big fundamental thing here for a lot of the LMS teams is their mid-game team fighting starts to drop off. This is the second iteration we've seen of it. EDG, they get the Baron, immediately looking to press forwards and challenge AHQ.
Yeah, well, that's the hook. It's going to land onto Mako.
Watch the
not
kick.
the target that they want is Mountain. He's looking for it, manages to get it back onto Zed as Ziv. He's charging his way forward, but can't get through the Weaver's wall. That's a bit of a disaster. Takes the Dark Passage, gets himself out as Westor's going to be dunked towards the bottom side. But Mountain's dead. They take down the turret, and EDG, they don't lose anything bar a couple of health bars.
And Rusty, you were talking about, the LMS as a region maybe making these poor team fights in the mid game, but I feel like it's also the decision making. That is such a high risk, low reward play, because if you die there, it's pretty much game.
Well, it's looking like it's a bit of a disaster here as well, as the inhibitor is going to fall down. We've got a massive minion wave pushing for EDG on the top side at the same time. This is not all that they're going to be able to take. Seismic Shove goes completely wide, and EDG, they've broken open the base and taken over the game.
And again, by trying to force that team fight there, instead of just standing behind your towers and wave clearing, it means that you're not just trading the outer tower, but you're losing your inhib. High risk, low reward.
Yeah, AHQ, it feels like, again, the gold lead wasn't massive at that point in the game, but it feels like it for them. They're forcing against the Baron team, and suddenly the momentum swings, the pendulum swings to EDG. Their turn to push forward, their turn to make the advances. AHQ say, we're going to interrupt this, we're going to fight. Mountain hits a kick, Kled comes from behind, and Talia, this is actually my biggest concern with this. Scout and Zed are the targets that Ziv wants. He's now stuck. So he has to lantern to safety. And just like that, because of the health bars lacking, the time and summoner spells exhausted by AHQ by trying to engage against the Tahm Kench, which is really difficult to do, then they just brute force their way in.
Hold on, though.
Yep, now Ziv is in trouble towards the top side of the map. The Skull should be eliminated and Kled soon afterwards as he tries to use the charge. Gets himself out of the way. It's Clearlove's looking for the cast. They want more than just the Kled. And Westor's going to be taken down pretty quickly. Now Ziv does get the remount. They do take down Clearlove as Scout. He's over the wall. Mountain misses the Q, but just kicks him in the head, and that's going to be that. Zed's going to be knocked over the wall, but Mountain should be able to take him down. No, Zed's going to pick up the kill. Mako lasts for so long, but Arn is doing so much work. And AHQ, they're going to get 4 for 2.
And Xayah just ran through them that team fight, completely untouched. You can see Arn pretty much full health on his health bar.
I'm going to bring this back one more time. EDG, you've just taken Kled off of Skull. Maybe just remove Kled from the map before he remounts one more time, because then he's pretty hard to kill again. They overcommit, they overexert themselves. Mako accidentally eats Clearlove. There's still these positive signs coming at EDG, but it's all crested over once again by giving AHQ chances to fight. Massive work coming out of Arn.
Yeah. And if you take a fight to Xayah, things can go very, very wrong. And it has meant the BF sword is coming in. Arn is getting to that 3-item spike with the Essence Reaver Infinity Edge Rapid Fire Cannon that we look for these Xayah players. And it's so much harder to break more of the base. We see this again.
And like you said, Rusty, it's overcommitting for that top laner and then not finishing the work here. I will say that Scout does a valiant effort as he's going to be taken super low, then go over the side, trying to put out as many rockets as possible. But Mountain's just going to get over the other side and end that Corki's reign of terror.
Yeah, at the same time, of course, the Varus does his absolute best, manages to secure Mountain, but look at the minimap. Where's your Jarvan? He walked from bottom lane, I'm pretty sure, just to get here at all, and he was not there in time.
Well, Mountain Drake number 2 is going to go over to EDG. Of course, it is number 3 theoretically, but it's their number 2. Going to be able to secure that one. 1.5 minutes before that Baron comes up once again, and the inhibitor still dead in the mid lane for AHQ. ZDG looking to get themselves into a position to make a pick, but they have walked over Vision, and AHQ are not buying it.
Have 1:20 to try to push down this bottom inhib and make that Baron all the more free.
They just rammed their heads in.
Yeah, Scout's actually going to launch himself over the wall. Okay, that was aggressive. That was more of an icon play than a Scout play. I thought we were in the last game.
Of course, he has no mid inhibitor, to be fair, so he's able to work through that side of the map. It is definitely risky, I'll give you that. But what's more risky is just going straight in and taking it without him even nearby in the first place.
Just cover up the nameplate and just think of it as pawn.
Okay, I like it.
Yep.
Oh no.
Here goes the ultimate. Okay, Ziv is going to be knocked back. Not off Skull just yet as Westor's made his way over to the side. Doesn't find the shove as EDG are all going to get flayed back. This is the killing field now as Ziv gets dismounted. He's not going to die though as the kickback does come in. Clearlove going down very low. Scout as well, but he Valkyries out. And somehow they're able to live. Mako The Grey Health's still available, and
They
EDG
survive?
just wander out. They're going to casually back and maybe look for a Baron.
That was so dangerous, though. Again, right before Baron spawns, EDG barely scrape out of that team fight. It was actually because Mountain at the very beginning didn't connect with his Q. So the Lee Sin flank, while the rest of AHQ wanted to engage, was on cooldown, waiting for the full duration before they could finally go.
And you'd be counting your blessings if you're EDG after that. There was no way they should have came out of there with their lives. But because they survive, AHQ have spent so long defending bottom lane, the vision isn't properly set up at the Baron. They're just going to teleport as shallow as they can get. EDG still have reasonable amounts of control. They did actually hit the Baron there.
Yeah, that's actually going to be cancelled. So Ziv, a little bit too worried about that Baron being started far earlier than it possibly could have, to be honest. Scout's going to go back, finishes off his Infinity Edge, and I was actually going to bring that up because he had all of the components, and if they want to commit to a fight, he needs that third item spike.
But it's the decision-making, like trying to overcommit or overreach bottom when you have the ability to buy eye edge, but you don't do it 20 seconds before a Baron spawns. We talked about high risk, low reward for AHQ. EDG, what the hell?
Oh my god.
Everything's so close here. These thresh hooks not far off hitting every single time.
But they're playing like it's not. They're playing like we can take all of these risks. It's totally fine.
Both teams are doing it, so it's just about who actually dies first, really.
This
We're like
won't bite
parents
us in
at a
the ass.
playground, aren't we? It's like, no, don't go on the swing. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Stop doing that.
I'm just watching some child
Let's
on
go
the
on
monkey
forward.
bars.
They're having a great time. As there's going to be the route onto Mountain. He can't get himself in there. Lands the Q,
Westall.
but it's on to Clearlove.
Uh-oh.
Bounces his
Uh-oh.
way back. Massive boop in. There's Mako. He's got the Grey Health, but Scout is going to be delivered to death. Audi, he's in the killing field, and oh my god,
They
Zet
survive.
is smashing this team fight. That Infinity Edge is doing so much work, and Arn is now looking for it. He's looking to turn it around. Can he
Arn.
actually get there? Featherstorm comes in. It's now EDG. They're still alive, but now it's the 2v2. 80 carries.
Oh my
Scout
God.
turns around, and he took one step too far forward.
And pretty much everybody's just dead here. EDG with 2 carries alive. No chance they'll look towards the Baron. I mean, they're walking over there. Very, very risky unless there's a honey fruit to keep them healthy. And that fight, if we get a replay, just keep your eyes peeled on what Mako did. He put in so much work.
Yeah, and EDG here, they're just going to make sure that they secure the Scuttle Crab, clear out any sort of division. There was a pink ward on the Baron itself, so reset the map.
Okay,
No,
they're
they're
doing
doing
a
it.
start back.
Yep, they're
Never
absolutely-
mind. We do have an Abyssal Voyage to get Clearlove towards this pit as well. And with 2 Mountain Drakes and a heck of a lot of damage, this is Baron number 2 over to EDG. God, I miss this region.
And I'm just so happy to say after all of this
Get me
that
off this
Zet
ride.
shows up to play because he's here on the international stage and AHQ going forwards. Watch the kick from Mountain and how Mako, in the middle of a team fight, missing so much health, has the awareness to actually gobble up the Corki.
Oh my
Like, that is
God.
just star performance out of Mako. And the Corki survives. Him and Zet then get to work together. Audi does his job in this team fight as well. Like, EDG probably shouldn't have won that. Mountain did so much work. Arn goes berserk, and they still come up pretty equal.
What an interception.
Yeah.
Absolutely intercepted.
Just fantastic. And the mechanical skill has never been something that we've doubted from either of these regions, but going for these sort of fights is so dangerous, like you were talking about. They go for it and they put it all in there. Baron now on EDG. They managed to get all of the respawns, I believe, as well. So are going to have 5 Barons now moving towards the base of AHQ. The mid lane, of course, a definite option, but AHQ can push that one out and try and get themselves into a position where they can contest this Baron buff team.
You know, I often think about like the difference between the LCK and the LPL. And I feel like, have you ever watched women's lacrosse? It's not a popular sport.
Rather
Not
vague
so
of a
much.
thing for us to have said yes to.
So,
Well, it's not
I
much
don't
of
know.
an
If I had
Australian
said
sport, this
volleyball,
is the
you would have
thing.
been like, yes.
Legitimately not Australian though, Posco. Volleyball is.
Volleyball certainly is. Yeah. High school was very good at it. Scout's
He's
not very
dead.
good at being alive. Yeah, Mountain's going to be able to pick up that kill as now in goes Ziv. He's looking for Clearlove, gets the bear trap on a rope, but the explosive cast is going to get him out of there. Mako desperately wants out, but he just sees his fate and is going to fall down.
So what I was going to say is that it's kind of the difference between watching just finesse play. Like, you're watching the LCK, like, ooh, wow, oh. And then you watch the LPL play, like, ooh,
So you're making similar noises.
Exactly.
They're just for very different reasons.
It's the difference between watching women's lacrosse and men's lacrosse. One's a brute force sport. One's much more about speed, finesse, beauty,
Or Serena Williams versus Venus Williams.
mini skirts.
I mean, weirdly enough, that's the noise we probably would have made when we watched Scout die there if we weren't talking about women's lacrosse, so that's fairly accurate.
the word we made was Scout's dead, I believe. Which he certainly was. It is going to put a little bit of a stopper in EDG's press towards the base. May lose them this Cloud Drake as well. Not necessarily the coveted Drakes that you'd want, but he's going to buff up that Elder Drake a little bit further, as that one's going to spawn at 38 minutes in. Actually, a little bit more than that.
And really, we just get to watch how Scout died here. He's got the package, so he feels overconfidence, but like when you've got a Talia, you've got a Hook, you've got a Lee Sin, they're a very good pick composition. If you don't have the vision, you need to actually work with your team to get that, not be confident that you have a package.
And the reoccurring trend between LMS and LPL is just superior vision control, and that was set up on a trap like that.
They actually know where Mountain is because of the ward that was just placed, revealing himself. Blue buff's about to spawn, so there's an opportunity for a fight here once again.
He's going to get played back. Mako still has a lot of grey health to work with. But the Weaver's Wall is stopping their exit.
Yes,
that was very, very late. Mako is still going to fall down, but now the fight is going to break out. Scout, double kill now for Arn. He's trying to make it 3 as Clearlove flashes his way out. Once again, EDG lose 2 of their members. And AHQ just keep finding these picks in the jungle.
And a game that was in EDG's complete control has now flipped over to AHQ. You have the completed itemization of On's Xayah, and he's just going off in all of these fights.
And the thing is, it's weird to say EDG should be doing this in lanes. They shouldn't be fighting in the jungle. It's super risky for them to go against a Talia into AHQ's jungle, which is towards a Xayah as well, and a pick composition from AHQ.
There's no inhib in the jungle. Why are you there?
Well, at the moment, Mountain's going to shove out this top wave. Audie's there to meet him. And just quietly, there's a 7-0 for Xayah running around the rift.
Arn is insane.
He is, as is Audi, because he has no way out of this one. Cataclysm comes in as Westor has to use his flash. Audi has lasted a long time, as Clearlove does find a barrel, but that is just going to be the top laner falling down. He does have teleport, but that is 50 seconds on the death timer, and Westor skates out and feels fine.
And we have to look bigger picture here, as again, it's another pick, blind, and just overconfidence from EDG. Why are you there? You'd think that maybe they're trying to contest the blue buff, that they want to start clearing out vision to make sure that there's no flanking teleport towards, but like Rusty said, they need to be fighting in the lane. Make use of your poke composition with Varus and Corky.
And Audi was just nowhere to be a frontline or to do any sort of peel, because you had Scout and Zet, and they were watching Ziv. And they were just like, well, we can't walk up towards that wall. Mako, you are dead. There's just nothing he could do.
AHQ have to win here. It's Machi versus RNG. Theoretically, that's going to go to RNG, again, unless we get that miracle performance from them. So this would keep the LMS alive at least to Game 5.
And if there's one thing that you'd trust watching the AHQ side, it does seem to be their very late game, their team fighting, their ability to have Arn be a hyper carry. Yes, he's not on the Jinx, but tell you what, Xayah is still a hyper carry when it comes to the damage output. Just a lot harder to execute on him. Right now, 7-0-5. Proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, and you have to question Scout's build here as well. He's foregone anything like a Mercurial Scimitar and decided to go with 4 damage items. The Rapid Fire Cannon comes out next. And I would have liked just a cheeky headband there, the Quicksilver Sash, to try and get him out of any of this CC, because he's being hooked, he's being caught. And there's just nothing he can do. As soon as that happens, that's a dead Corky and most of the damage gone for EDG. And it's just an easy rollover for Age.
But this is why you say they fight in lane, not in the jungle, right? You've got the damage dealer on Corky. They have decent control when it comes to defending him with the Tarmkench there. If they pick the target, if the hook connects, you can keep him alive, keep him in the backline to do the damage.
I do have to throw some shade at Scout. While he does have these incredible 1v1 performances, he tends to go a little deep. And he's been doing that this entire tournament.
He traveled a long way. Oh. That was really cool. As far as like getting like frequent flyer miles is concerned, like Scout nailed it.
That was fine.
Yeah,
that was great.
That's fine,
Do it
but
again.
he keeps doing it in every single situation, no matter what the context is. If you go back to EDG versus Samsung, he cost them the game. You know, that random Talia death right before a Baron that gave Samsung the free gateway into it.
It was all about control warding that bottom lane bush.
Got it.
Yeah, that, and he got it. See?
They have so many wards around the Elder Dragon and not a lot actually really here around the Baron, yet they still have control. So ultimately, this isn't the worst outcome for EDG. They've got the map in their hands. They've had the side wave set up. It's still pushing bottom wave. Things that could be a lot worse for them. It's just the team fighting where everything's going awry. And AHQ, honestly, in those team fights, though, getting the picks, starting to go berserk.
On is by himself.
Audi's going to jump his way in as Ziv's taking a fair bit of damage. Mountain looking for his way out the back. And
Oh
yes,
my God,
Xayah isn't quite there. Oh my god. He's being boofed everywhere. Audi should be able to flag and drag his way out, but he doesn't have the cooldown. He's nommed by Mako and then flashed over the wall. Mako is, yeah, you're right, Rusty, having the game of his life.
Cled's about to get set, though.
Yeah, the slow comes in, but Ziv still can't quite make it happen. He's going to be dismounted as Clearlove gets his way out as well. This disengage is going well. That dodge of both of the skill shots is god tier, and I'm watching Froskarin have a heart attack next to me as EDG barely make it out.
Why are we doing this? Please stop. The fact that that game could have been over right there if Clearlove had gotten hit, that it had to come down to a sidestep. Yes,
They're
it was
teleporting
godly,
into fight right now.
Oh,
They're going
God.
in. Hearts might stop
Straight
here on
to the Baron.
caster
They want
desk.
to force the teleport out of Ziv. EDG have so much damage with 2 Mountain Drakes. They should be able to chunk this one the heck out.
Oh my god, their damage is insane.
Watch
But Mountain,
Mountain.
Oh,
he's
no.
here ready for the steal. They're not going to get it because there's just way too much
Here comes
damage.
the
Now
teleport.
the follow-up engage is going to come in. Ziv, Mountain, they're both in exactly the right position as Scout is going to get himself into a good spot. Their poke damage is actually
EDG look to be
working out
okay.
quite well. Yeah, they've got themselves back to a good formation.
And they've got
Audi
the minions.
is hit by a phosphorus bomb. That's not so good. But AHQ, they have low health bars, and now all the control for EDG somehow. Elder Drake is about to turn up, and if they take that, then the team fight looks a heck of a lot better.
And AHQ have to respond to the massive creep waves pushing into their base. So yes, it's going to be a free Baron and a free Elder for EDG. Control them back in the driver's seat.
This is such a heart attack of a game, but EDG are just somehow making it look. And they're playing as if, yeah, we've got total control. It's totally okay, guys. But it's not. It feels like it is on a knife's edge, but now they've got an Elder Dragon and a Baron.
But to put it simply as well, they're just losing the team fights. And this is the first time EDG have hard committed to the objective, the big objectives in the river, and they back away from the team fight and choose not to actually take it, which is very much commendable. It gives them the Elder.
And you know, Stake brought up this idea of kind of tactical performance versus individual skill, the ability to actually press your buttons versus when to press them. And it feels like EDG are actually failing on both fronts right now. You know, picking bad fights and then executing on them poorly. That put them in this situation where, frankly, this game should have been over a long time ago. On should not have been allowed to get to this point with how much of an early lead they had.
I don't think they're picking bad fights. It's
Fighting
just
in
how
the
they're
jungle blind?
It's how they're setting up to the fights, Frosker, and I'm talking there.
She's a disappointed mother, okay?
Noted.
Fight in the lane.
Well, they are going to be able to fight this inhibitor, and that is not going to be able to fight back. So they are going to be okay. Scout, slightly over-aggressive positioning, giving us slight heart attacks. But now has his QSS completed, so can be a little bit more aggressive. Completed the Flame Horizon as well over
Unbugged
Westall.
immediately.
What?
Corky's bugged.
Yes,
He's
is
just
he,
Gatling
is he just
everywhere.
Gatling? Oh, it's, my God. It's a bit of a Gatling, this game.
Rusty's triggered.
That
He
noise
triggered this
is-
whole cast. Fantastic. Zet pushing up this wave. Knight's Vow is completed by Mako as well, who's getting tankier and tankier. It's Tom Kench. It's going to be more and more difficult to kill.
And so I think the player to watch before this next fight is Albus, and namely even Mountain, because he's always trying to flank on the Lee Sin. But against an Elder, against a Baron, it's super hard to do. And so you've got to highlight how do they team fight now when they've got to go front to back.
Well, going to have to fight relatively soon because that's 2 inhibitors dead. And EDG utilizing the Elder Dragon buff very, very well because AHQ do not want to fight them with that. They had the minion waves prepped and get themselves up there. So top lane should be the next place EDG looks unless they just try and force a fight and win the game.
No, we're probably just going to have all 5 men right up into the top lane, force the free objective, which is that last standing outer tower. But it's now the question of where are AHQ going to draw the line in the sand?
We've got 6 items on both AD carries. These team fights are going to be super volatile because if EDG are now forced to fight on AHQ's terms. In order to end the game, they have to be coming to them. And AHQ have a composition that fights very well if you've got people heading towards them, especially if you've got Isaiah.
But I'm much more confident in their ability to fight in an open base rather than to wander blindly into a dark jungle and get pick after pick into, you know, the likes of the Thresh, of the Talia Flick, or a flank from Mountain or Ziv.
In saying that as well, the minions will be pushing in mid, will be pushing in bottom, starting to pressure AHQ. And so we'll highlight, do EDG team fight immediately to just brute force their way in, or will they play it out, let the minions help win the game for them? And then you look towards more AHQ, saying, can you prevent the minions from ending the game by fighting immediately?
Well, they are certainly going to do that as Mako. He's found himself over the other side. Valkyrie is going to allow Scout to join in, but Mako can't save everyone as Mountain gets the kick onto Scout. QSS uses the flash, gets himself out of the way, but everyone's jumped in. Mountain should
dead.
fall down. Scout's going to be able to pick up that kill, but the answering kill's there. Arn is untouched, and he's got so much damage. Ziv as well, he's still got a Guardian Angel, but the disengage is going to come in, and EDG get themselves out. It's 1-for-1, and Arn cannot catch up.
And AHQ brilliantly understanding that that was their time to strike because the bottom and the mid lane waves hadn't crashed in yet. You can see that they're starting to roll in now, which is why they'll reset their positioning, but understanding exactly where that window was.
And just by winning that team fight, AHQ, Arn is a machine right now. Yeah. He's able to keep them in this game for an extra couple of minutes because they can push the bottom wave back out. They can push the mid wave in before they crash. Again, EDG, if they just stop the fight, they sit back. They don't even need to hit the turret in the top wave. Let those supers come in and then make the play. If nothing else, they would still get the teleport out of Ziv on top of this. But Mountain, he kicks it off, Frostgoon.
Yep, expertly started by Mountain. There's the flank follow-up from Ziv, but check out On in the back. Yes, Audi would get back there, but he's just going to shred them through. And as soon as the exhaust goes on Xayah right about now, that's pretty much the only window that EDG have to turn this, but they've already committed to disengage. Now that the exhaust is down, get the hell out of Dodge.
Yep, too many feathers on the ground. Do not want to walk towards that. That Blade Caller would just do so much damage. And AHQ, they're playing around Arn once again incredibly well.
Will he die?
Well, that's a very good question. He's now legendary, which is going to help him in the not dying state of things. Ziv has picked himself up that adaptive helm. It's going to help him against, I guess, Gatling.
AHQ have vision. They're set up for this. And Arn's looking for a 1v1.
Okay.
But okay, there's a lot of them here, Arn.
And
if you don't press
back
B,
right about now.
I would definitely press back.
Oh my god, what are you doing, Arn?
He's looking for the pick, but he's just going to get himself out. That was terrifying. Utterly terrifying.
That guy's a god.
Okay, yeah, the ult came in, and as well as the Dark Passage, as Weaver's Wall was invested.
Hook's
That's going to be the hook. Down to the Guardian Angel now, as Scout once again going to get himself out with that QSS. Okay, Audi is just going to flash. That's going to be Mako eating him up.
Check out Mountain, and here comes Ziv.
He's looking for Scout. Audi completely unable to be a frontline. Ziv's going to jump in. There's a lot of damage here for EDG, and it's a relatively disconnected fight. Ziv, bear trap on the right comes in. Oh my god, Scout explodes. Now Arn looking for more of that damage. The flick back comes in onto Clearlove. Double kill as Mako. He's going to fall down, and now Zet and Clearlove to defend their base. But AHQ have to do the same. Their backs need to come out, and we're going to get a full reset.
So we basically get nothing for this fight for AHQ other than
20 seconds on Baron.
Respawning. One of the Nexus turrets may go down. 40 seconds on 3 members of EDG. AHQ may have enough time now to just waltz over to the Baron, but Clearlove is alive. It's all too risky. It feels like we're back to square one.
And let's not take anything away from On. This guy is having a career-defining performance on the Xayah, probably the best one of the tournament. He is single-handedly carrying AHQ into this game, and we're getting close to a 50-50.
Yeah, and when Betty has like all of these phenomenal stats in the LMS, and then Arn turns up, it makes Betty look incredible for having that, but AHQ, the AD carries in the LMS region, performing out of their minds so far. Even BB in their game where he picked up the Caitlyn looked fantastic.
But on the other side of that coin, as AHQ clean up the Baron, why are EDG choosing to put themselves in a position like that? Wait for the bottom and the mid waves to crash in.
Because they see Arn. Like, why is Arn here? No one knows. But you know what? He gets a lantern, so Arn's all good. And suddenly the body slam's gone, the Jarvan flag drag's gone, and they're able to actually fight AHQ.
But still, look at the waves. Why be that far forward? They could have disengaged at so many different opportunities like this, but they just don't know. Are we committing? Are we disengaging? What are we doing?
And at this stage, you actually let Audi go. You don't come back in and save him. As an end result of this, it gives the opportunity for the Kled charge to come in. They continue for the follow-up, and by saving him, you know what? It's okay, but then the fight actually breaks out, and Arn gets to free hit the entire time, pretty much unimpeded, because Mountain's in the backline with ridiculous kicks. Ziv is a Kled that still has Skull, and they're just able to execute on these team fights far better than EDG, almost compositionally. When going forwards now, that's how scaled they are.
Oh, it just looks so, so good. But now it's on AHQ to try and push up these minion waves. They have inner turrets still yet to fall on the side of EDG. And look, very healthy one, especially in the mid lane. And bottom side of the map, believe they should have an opportunity. But now Ziv, he's got the damage. Mountain as well. Arn needs to get over here, but look, it just seems to be enough for AHQ as we're 48 minutes in. And these towers do not last long.
We're pretty much at the full build state for every champion running around on Summoner's Rift. A couple of control ward slots almost out of necessity for the remaining players, and Westor's the only one that's slightly behind. Hasn't had the best performance in this game. Whilst the shoves have connected, whilst the walls have been hitting, he's still someone that's dying. He's a bit behind on farm. So there's a couple of other things that could be improved from him coming out of this one. But still, you're correct. The walls have been good. He's protecting Arn.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not just on, but it's also looking at Mountain. I feel like he's on the roller coaster type phase of Lee Sin, where he starts out really relevant in the early game, then he kind of, you're going uphill for a little bit, slows down that mid game. But this late in the game, it just takes one kick, one insect, one pick to decide the entire fate of the series.
But what's crazy to me right now is the Baron buff AHQ have just met EDG in the middle, and we are legitimately at the start of this game all over again, just missing some structures, and you know, we're at 6 items.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Let's go back to the laning phase.
We sandboxed a 50-minute team fight.
Well, Ziv is just going to keep pushing things out. Westor does have a Baron buff, but Scout clears out that minion wave so quickly. With all the damage on the Varus and the Corki, I mean, these waves do melt, but they do need to be there in position in order to make that happen. You can see, Zet's there. Clear Love is enough to deter them from pushing this one out, and they're clearing out vision here as well. Big minion wave towards the top side, though, and AHQ can get to.
Westor, by being bottom right now, AHQ being all mid, top lane pushing, you're expecting the wall to come through after he clears this bottom wave. May take the turret once he starts to see where the rest of EDG are, but it's less about him taking the objective, more about him moving, because he has map position.
Well, EDG are actually just going to sacrifice this one. We'll see whether they actually move towards
Eldering.
taking the inhibitor.
1 second.
Yeah, okay. Bear Trap is on a rope. Valkyrie now on cooldown for Scout.
These are the moments where you have a full veteran team like AHQ. We're in a high-pressure situation. They've been here hundreds of times in their career. They know what to do.
Westor's just pushing bottom.
And EDG, so many rookies across their lineup.
This is the moment.
Well, Westor's looking to make his way in here as well. Weave as well is going to split up this fight. You've got 3 in the Thunderdome, but both of the carries
got a big
are
flank.
in a decent position. Ziv, once again, just playing with positioning. Mountain is getting beaten to death by the Elder Dragon, but gets himself out of that pit. Now it's a split fight. Mountain takes so much damage. In goes Scout, committing to that fight. The flash! Scout's going to lock down the jungler, and now the Elder Dragon should go over to EDG. And I believe by himself, Scout won themselves the Elder Dragon.
And we just talked about the veteran status of AHQ. They've been here 100 times. They know what to do, but Mountain makes a fatal error, gets chunked out by Elder, and Scout, the rookie, defining his career really, stepping out of the shadow of Pawn and Faker, cleans it up and takes Elder for EDG.
And now they should be able to take down these inhibitors as well. A 4v5 fight at 52 minutes into the game is just so dangerous.
And remember, top, bottom, the waves have crashed. They're resetting. They're pushing for EDG. They could do the patient play because they have 2 free inhibitors to take, and you just set yourself up for top lane. There is a long time until Mountain is back.
Zet, you do not want that 1v1, I don't think. Zan does a lot of damage. Zet as well.
They've actually just killed Westor.
Okay, Westor's going to die.
That might be game over, actually.
They're looking for it. Clearlove can tank this tower for quite some time. It's down to half health.
Backdooring.
It's fortified as in goes the charge. Ziv jumps onto Mako. The Featherstorm now on cooldown as Zet. He hasn't been taken down. Ziv now just getting free hit by these big carries, and in goes Albus. They know that this could be all over. It's slammed up on, but he's tearing them up. Double kill comes in. Audie's in trouble, but they finally taken down Zet. It's now his turn to be the hero as Audie's going to flash his way out. Off Skull goes Ziv, and Mountain has to get himself out, and Zed has just saved EDG. And once again, there's 2 inhibitors down. There's a Baron buff, but I still don't know who's going to win.
What was that?
Zed and Arn just did so much damage in that last team fight, and ultimately Arn, 12-1-7, suffers his first death of the game at 52 minutes. And is the only thing that keeps EDG in it.
My blood pressure is
Oh my God.
out of control right now. That guy, this is a godly performance. He just planted his feet.
Yeah, he's a turret. He completed Exodia or something like that and exploded EDG. I'm not entirely sure what happened. That was like the win button that he pressed, and it is going to save them at least for a moment. Westor, he's going to respawn. They didn't even get that Nexus turret.
Yeah, now you can breathe now. You can step back.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
You can watch a replay and stop breathing if you want. This is EDG, Arn vs. Zet basically is the name of the game here, because the fight, the start from Clearlove, it's immaculate. They've got the Elder, and this is where you just back away. You take the 2 inhibitors. You're backdooring, your damage isn't that great. Scout's at risk of dying, and they commit to the fight.
And they get all of the tools onto the backline. You know, the Featherstorm was burned so early. Audi will eventually turn off of the tower, gives it, you know, maybe 1-2 more hits before he finds the Xayah, jumps into the backline, and On just goes Super Saiyan.
He just pressed QW and I think auto attack.
I don't think you understand that was 0.1 of a second of AHQ winning the game, because as Zet crit and killed Arn, Mountain kicked him away. So the last auto attack that would have actually killed him may not have happened.
He does have a lot of crit, so at least the odds are probably in EDG's favor on that front.
Again, the amount of time between that.
The odds have been in EDG's favor the last 4 times.
But now a Baron has spawned. It's another one. AHQ have got themselves
EDG
one
have
so
swapped
far.
side of the map for the record. They're pushing with top lane. The 2 inhibitors are dead. It's AHQ that need to make the desperate play.
And AHQ might go towards the Baron. They can kill it very, very quickly.
But
EDG with the inside track. Yeah, you're exactly right. This is a lose-lose situation for AHQ. They have to make a choice about what to do with Zet. He's going to be seen.
EDG are not committing to the Baron. They're committing to pushing the inhibitor. They want all 3 and maybe even the game.
Well, they can flat out win the game. They've got the minion waves to come through. Now, everyone empowered recall. We are going to see a fight in this space. We are going to have Baron buff minions to help defend, but EDG just said, we want to take another inhibitor and we'll trade it for the Baron.
But this is going to continue to stall out the rest of this game. Like you said, that Baron will just keep the base alive, keep the Nexus tower standing. They shouldn't be able to use this offensively. We could be looking at the next Elder 5v5.
I feel like as well, EDG could have probably forced it into a different choice there, but I don't know.
They didn't. That's just the state of the game we're in. You know what? Raz said it on the analyst desk. He's just saying what we're all thinking. The last time EDG and AHQ met each other, there was a lot of team fights. Well, I mean, we're 55 minutes in. There's a lot of team fights.
And there's 1,000 gold difference. This is so close. It's gone for an hour.
That's nuts.
Oh my
I'm actually losing years off of my life.
I can see. It's written all over your face. I feel like we need a Frosker cam in the bottom left.
This is great. LPL should play LMS more often.
Please, no.
Oh my goodness.
You guys can't see it, but our analysts are always on waiting for the game to end, and they kind of have to run from upstairs downstairs. They keep poking their head in because, like, is the game over? No, no, it's still going.
No, and they probably ran down. They've seen this fight that should be the end of the game, and then they get here, and all of a sudden, oh wait, we've just reset completely.
They're just getting so much exercise, just running up and down those stairs, thinking that it's going to end.
Here we go.
Okay, so the gold lead has almost come back into AHQ's favor as they've been cleaning out so many minions. Zet has to make his Ziv, has to make his way back towards his team if they want to start up any of these fights. But AHQ, it still feels to me like they can win this game. They get an ace, they move forward, and they win.
They can 100% win this game. And what's really important is the side vision that EDG are setting up. Because
this is where the fight happens.
Yeah, they're trying to find Mountain. He has been so pivotal in these basically kick-ass kicks and initiations to this fight. He's trying to find that flank. They also have a deep ward behind them for the teleport.
Now EDG, they can see the Kled top side of the map, so they start to poke their way in and actually get some auto attacks off. Remember, they've got mountains, and so Scout destroys the inhibitors if he gets the auto attack. But every time he steps up, Albus looks at him, goes for the hook, scares him, and yes, he has the QSS, but that's not how you want to start the fight. You need to save that to outplay. If you've got the QSS flash, then you have to get out of Mountain's kick somehow. As Mountain
may have taken a step too far, but
he's up, Soldier.
He's going to make his way back. There's still vision here for AHQ.
Hook connects.
Hook. It lands, but Mako is going to gobble him up on. He's going to eat the ultimate. There's now Piercing Arrow. He's going to make him a little bit less. Lost the kick on a Scout, but he flashes his way out. Zet now completely in no man's land. We've got a lot of damage on the other side as Albus. He's going to be taken down, but you've got Audi. He's in the backline trying to deal with
won the game,
but he's massive. Clearlove now trying to run his way out. There are no carries left. Audi and Clearlove have to have some sort of miraculous hero play if they're going to get anything done.
But you see the ping go down. That is a minute death timers on so many members. It is just Jarvan. Maybe not Jarvan.
Oh, good dodge.
Oh, God. Just Jarvan and Gragas alive.
Yeah, no carries left for EDG. They are literally just relying on the fact that they have crowd control and they're going to try and survive for the entire time. Kled will dive them. and he has got the teleport to come in, and the minions have crashed.
This is pretty much like, by our powers combined, we can wave clear.
Yeah, well, Clearlove doesn't quite have the ultimate just yet. That is going to be incredibly important for buying time. Is don't walk that close to Arn, Clearlove.
He's clearing the wave as long as he avoids 3 feathers at a time, and it feels like AHQ, because the Baron ran out. How very well timed, I might add.
Oh,
We're back to square one.
I don't like this square.
All right, here we go. Mountain still has it.
yeah, teleport is going to come in, so at least this tower should fall down. Inhibit is going to be the next thing to follow, and we've got very small death timers remaining.
But
it's going to be one hit.
They just need to stay alive 10 seconds before their team comes back up.
Charge. Gets
Gets him
AHQ out.
And it'll be the next Baron, you're going to have to say.
Oh.
That'll be where we look. I don't know how many Barons there's been. At least 28. There's also an Elder in 2 minutes.
We're going to have visibly aged after this game, I think.
Now this was all Arn once again. Hook connects, and Mako immediately eats him, yes, but the Weaver's Wall's here. Mountain, his flank is massive. He's so scary.
Fine
and
scout.
hits it. At this stage, Ziv's just going for Zet. He's stuck by himself, but Arn's also just going to free hit. Every carry from EDG is disconnected. And Zet, he does his absolute best. Honestly, he takes out Westor in a 1v2. So these individual players are still doing so much work, but Arn's alive. Every single time, Arn is alive.
And I feel like Clearlove needs to build a Morellonomicon or something like that. They need more ways to stop all this healing from coming in from Arn, who's just... He's got his Bloodthirster, he's got his Mercurial Scimitar, and it just feels like if he's given 3 auto attacks, he's at full health permanently.
And that's the thing, the crowd control that EDG have when it comes to late game team fighting is a Jarvan knockup and a body slam, maybe a Varus ultimate, and you have to devour Arn if you're trying to do that. But when he has his ultimate, Xayah is just so hard to actually get onto.
It's also the fact that we never really have had a fight where it's kind of moving from front to back. You know, they don't get to make use of the range and the reach of Corki on those crits. These fights keep getting separated and split by fabulous Talia walls.
Goodness, this game is just ridiculous. Scout has himself a Void Staff now as well. That is as 6 items as you can possibly get. Albus does not want to be tanking that amount of damage.
And we've crested to 60 minutes.
We have.
This is the third Elder, and another Baron in a minute, Atlas.
And you can see Westor setting up for a wall, Mountain setting up for a kick. You don't have flashes available at all on the side of AHQ, but the same story is there for EDG, bar Audi, who can get himself out of there.
But you do also have Mako on the Tom Kench, so that's the only extra luxury that EDG are really afforded come this big 5v5 approaching.
And of course, they've got the 280 carries compared to just the one of AHQ, but Westor's walls have been immaculate. If he makes a mistake, then perhaps the opportunities are there, as they're looking for Arn.
Yeah, Mako jumps his way in, doesn't get hooked. Vision now able to be routed out by EDG.
Actually, the wall's on again. Mako's trapped.
Yeah, and they're going to get boot back all the way over that wall. Fantastic. Weaver's Wall does come in as now 2 of the big tanks on the front line are going to be evaporated.
Mako's just
that
dead.
is 1 kill that comes in, and now it's a fight all about AHQ. Zip jumps into the back line. Zet is at least free hitting his Mountain.
It's
Looking
over.
for the kick.
It's over.
Albus takes down Scout. Audi is going to fall as Zet looking for the kite. Clearlove's going to die, and Zet needs to have the most incredible performance ever, but he's not going to. And now Audi flashes out of the way, but just take the base, AHQ. You deserve it. And we are most likely going to go to a game 5.
And I know all eyes are on Arn. He has a ridiculous KDA, 13-1-11, but it was Westor's Talia wall that secured that fight for them.
And so many of them have been so pivotal. Mountain, he's been looking for these kicks. He's found them, but Westor, every single fight, the walls have been amazing. He's got the kicks, and now he's got the Nexus. Who cares if he was about 300 CS behind? He hit all of the abilities that he needed to that game.
And look at the emotion on the players. The crowd's backing them up. They're running over to the interview area, knowing that it's someone from AHQ. And honestly, just a monster performance from all of them individually, coming together late game as a team after a very shaky mid game.
Oh, and Arn, we just need to say it again. That guy is a joy to watch. He just bought time in the early game. EDG were making moves. It felt like, you know, the bottom lane from AHQ were just passengers in that ride. EDG were making good plays, but it got to that point where he had 3 items, and they dive a little bit too far forward, and all of a sudden he does 1 billion damage.
That man was a monster.
Oh, yes.
The whole team as well. You've got your Weaver's Walls, your Lee Sin kicks. Ziv was still unkillable as a top laner.
His charges into the backline were fantastic, forcing the carries of EDG to make impossible decisions. Can we move forward and save our frontline? No. And it just meant that AHQ had all of the answers.
High pressure situation, backs to the wall, and AHQ simply outplayed EDG numerous times, tactically and individually.
But they probably shouldn't have been given that opportunity, guys. I feel like EDG had they had 3 inhibitors for moments there. There were fights that they were winning, and I just feel like maybe it was more the strategic game that got the better of EDG as opposed to AHQ, because they were honestly led into that game in some respects.
You'd have to say that the big turning point was the Baron, really, where they chose the 3rd inhibitor instead of the fight, and that was really the game-defining moment for me, where AHQ, I mean, they were just gifted the Baron and held on.
Yeah, gifted the Baron, and then the inhibitor falls down, but they have so much wave clear. I don't know. I don't know how our analysts are going to go actually breaking this game down, because they're going to need a very, very long time to do it. So let's throw it to them, give them a shot.
I don't even know either, Atlas, because that game, where do you start? Absolutely crazy from start to finish, and that was, what, over an hour long, but we made it in the end. AHQ taking the win, but I can't even still believe my eyes. What was a war?
It was one of those games where we were requesting replays, but this is going to be the central moment.
This replay.
At
this
least
replay.
18 times did we say that. Cancel replays, set up replays. It is insane how much happened this game, but it's also insane that EDG didn't win. They had everything stacked for them. Everything was set up. We're just going to roll a replay because there was so many damn pivotal moments. It seemed early, Raz, this was going to be the defining one at 21 minutes.
This felt very clean from EDG. Sure, they lose the Dragon because Mountain is going all in for it, but immediately you kill out Mountain. You chase the fight. And what does that ultimately mean for EDG? Because Baron is still up 21 minutes into the game, it will turn into a Baron for EDG. And so this really, really early on, because there's still 30, 40 minutes left in this game, for EDG to make this Baron mean something, and I mean, sure, it didn't. But sure, but it should have, and I felt like that was a major advantage.
That was the first Baron at 21 minutes.
Yeah.
If my math goes correctly, Baron spawns every 7 minutes. I believe we saw 48 other Barons in this game. That's what it
Seems
felt
about
like.
right to me.
It just kept happening and happening, and to me, the 30 to 40 minute phase was where EDG just fell apart. They kept running into the enemy blue buff, being surprised by a thresh hook and dying, where just barreling down a minion wave with 2 different AD carries seemed like the way to go. Going down lanes was the percentage players. Holy crap, 77,000 damage coming through.
In a casual hour-long game. But
had the
crazy
training
numbers.
wheels yesterday by playing the Jinx, jumps on the Xayah. It's been an LMS pick before that in the regular LMS split. 82% win rate for Xayah. You see why, because we've seen Xayahs not live up to the hype. Late game hyper carry, 3-item hyper carry. In this game, the Xayah was doing unspeakable things in team fights and face tanking damage in some of these replays.
Yeah, that was just out of control, Raz.
If you make one mistake going into the Xayah, right? Once you put down enough feathers and you can get enough, a lot of damage, a lot of CC, problems. Problems.
Did you? I mean, the item build here went from 3-0 items at one point when he sold boots. Then he was like, wait, I just need cooldown reduction for more feathers. Went into, sold 2-0. I don't think any AD carry has ever sold 2-0 items to pile on other items, but he seemed to be thrift shopping with the best of them, and it's just... I just can't imagine.
It's difficult. Okay, let's go back to what you were talking about before, Papa, because it was EDG with the lead. We need to go back like 40 minutes, almost an hour back in time now. And then they just keep going into the jungle over and over again. We have a replay to show that. And I just don't know what the thought process was there, because EDG just throw away their big lead.
And they were looking for the collapse to begin this particular replay. There was a lot of plays around this area. Barreling down a lane with Varus Corki, 2 of the longest range champion, seems like it's the percentage play to make, but they walk up, they opt in, and that's where Arn's like, well, it's time for line damage.
Yeah, this is just pure greed. They thought they can walk past Ziv and chase him down, and they lose this fight. They get chased down because they didn't take what was free. And that was the theme for the rest of the game here.
Look at the timer, though. It's 26 minutes into the game. We're not even halfway through the game, and yet this was the point where you're like, ADG, what are you doing? And they did that once, twice, 3 times around that area. And then we got to the point of no return, or so we thought. There was 3 inhibitors down for a majority of the game, certainly 2, and then there was the Baron for 3rd inhibitor trade, which I know we were talking about it. It seemed like EG were the winners there as well, because there was no access to that particular top lane inhibitor until they made the trade, and then Baron's temporary stats versus the inhibitor was down. So few teams come back from 3 inhibitors down.
Yeah, most of the time, if you have that advantage, you just guide the wave. 3 waves with you, but they felt like EDG were just cutting corners a lot of the times, thinking that certain fights were easier to go for, so they can say, okay, well, Scout can actually face tank this turret, or he can move in forward. It just felt like they needed to understand their role. Who walked forward, it had to be Clear Love.
And that's kind of where I really need to criticize EDG. Is the operative word of what Raz said was fights. They just kept thinking like, we got to fight, we need to fight.
Yeah.
There's 3 inhibitors down, there's no need to fight. We saw yesterday J-Team play an almost perfect game, almost with no fights, because they were just able to guide in minion waves. When you have 3 inhibitors down, stack the damn minion waves, put your teleport player in the bot lane. Don't just force yourself onto fights. And this was definitely not a betting market to decide who was the key player. It had to be on.
Of course, and he was playing Secret Agent. He was behind enemy lines multiple times and still just made it happen. In the base, he was just a one-man defense. Everyone was going up against him, and he was just face tanking it, killing absolutely everybody, changing the item build every couple minutes. And he just did an unbelievable amount of damage and an unbelievable amount of work for his team.
Yeah, they had to find a way if they could dive him, and then they realized, point of no return, they actually just can't touch him. He is a fountain. He's actually just a fountain turret.
And, you know, you call it a one-man war, and it really was, because Westor this game, the walls were great, the utility from other players was great, but Westor hit 6 items at, 55 minutes into the game. He was doing almost nothing, just chipping the front line, and it was Arn's heroics again and again and again. One of those fights after 30 minutes, he dies, the game is over, and it just never happened.
Impressive stuff from AHQ, and it was well-deserved, an hour-long game. With that, we are going to send it over to a quick interview, so we're going to send it to Wendy for the translation.
You can hear the crowd chanting.
Hello
everyone. Thank you for watching the 2017 Rift Rivals. You can tell that everyone's very excited. So this is AHQ's ADC An. So he sort of bumped his mic on his mouth. So did you feel very nervous because it was a long game? He said he finally won an international match against EDG. So are you afraid of letting the EDG know all your strategy because you guys know each other very well? And he's like, yes. So we can tell that during bot lane, usually they are not very stable. However, this match at the Rift Rivals, they are doing very well. And he's saying that because we have always been practicing. And this time they were in a very good state. So before the analyst desk was saying that you're finally very serious. Is that real? And he's like, I'm always very serious. So did you feel that it was a very painful game? So he's saying that everyone just wants to be calm and find an opportunity to turn the tides. So we did see that you were hiding in a bush. And did you want to just 1v1 another person? So he feels like if we don't fight, then we'll be losing. So he wanted to start a fight. And then he's like, oh, so many people coming around. So then for the team, he didn't start the fight. Oh, and the teammates actually told him to stay in the bush. So what is your core strategy? And he said that the core strategy is actually top, mid, and jungle. Because he wants the late game. So there was once where it was nearly, we thought it would end game, and there was 3 people defending the base. And he did think that, oh, I'm going to die. However, there was a miracle. And yes, there was a comeback. And so, did your teammates really cheer? And he said, oh, I forgot. And he's like into his MVP's pride. So what do you want to say to the fellow MLMS teammates? So he's saying, stay till the end because we have our comeback.
稍后比赛就是马吉 NET 对上 RNG， 休息一下，马上回来。
Fantastic to hear from Arn as well at the end of that one, the MVP of the series. And of course, it will be a comeback victory. Now, 2-1 means that the LPL have to win 2 games in a row if they want to take this series. And next up, they have Machi going up against RNG as well. RNG will be taking blue side for that one, so we'll see if they can take it in the end. It's going to be a tough one for the LPL here on out. We're going to send it to a quick break before we come back with more Rift Rivals action.